The stories you are about to see are real. The rewards up to $5 million are real. This is Crime Reports and Rewards with Griff Griffin and Dave Michaels, where you stay anonymous, the criminals don't.
Edgefield County Police report that a dozen or more vehicles have been broken into Monday night at the Stevens Mill neighborhood near Highway 25 in Edgefield County. Victims woke up to their car doors still being open and their personal ID and things stolen, so anyone could use their identity to buy things, or worse. Victims say they feel violated. One victim said he thought his neighborhood would never have a problem with crime, but now is rethinking that position after his wife and daughter's car were both rifled through. One victim shared that if burglars have done this just feet from the front door, what would happen if they came into the house? South Carolina gun laws make it hard for a family to defend itself, and if they did, somebody might go to jail. Police say that at this time there are no suspects in any of these cases. If you know who or where these car burglars may be, please call the police or Crime Stoppers at 800-CRIME-SC, where you remain anonymous and unviolated. The Aiken Department of Public Safety reports the black male you see on your screen walked up to a woman sitting in her car at Walmart and robbed her. Now they need your help finding this suspect. Police say the victim was approached by the suspect while waiting in her vehicle and can't believe he just pulled out a gun and robbed her in front of God and everybody in a crowded parking lot. The victim claims that she gave the suspect an undisclosed amount of money in her cell phone and then he left to the area in an unknown white vehicle. Anyone with information related to the robbery or the identity of the male suspect is asked to call Crime Stoppers of the Midlands at 800-CRIME-SC. That's 800-274-6372, where you remain anonymous and unrobbed. Richmond County Sheriff's deputies report a woman has been shot. It happened on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard near Olive Road just after 5 a.m. Monday. When deputies arrived on scene, they found a woman shot in the lower right leg. The victim says she was shot after being approached by 4 unknown black males in a dark-colored Pontiac Sunfire. The victim told officers they attempted to rob her, and when she ran, they shot her. If you know of 4 black males that run around together in a dark-colored Pontiac Sunfire, please call the Richmond County Sheriff's Office. Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS, or text and email your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and unshot. Columbia County Sheriff's Office reports a Columbia County woman reported her iPhone stolen. When she got a new phone, these pictures of people she doesn't know showed up on her iCloud account. We don't know if they're involved in the theft or just associates the thief may have photographed, or the thief sold the iPhone and the new owner took the pictures. But it's a good lead, and the Columbia County Sheriff's Office needs your help finding them so they can ask them where they got this iPhone. If you know who or where these subjects may be, please call the Columbia County Sheriff's Office, Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS, or text and email your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and get paid. Columbia County Sheriff's deputies are looking for the white male you see on your screen here stealing golf cart batteries at J&M Golf Carts in Evans. If you think you know who or where this white male golf cart stealing thief may be, please call the Columbia County Sheriff's Office at 706-541-2800. Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS, or text or email your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and keep your batteries. Police report someone shot up a home at 2632 Spirit Creek Road just before 11 p.m. late Sunday. Police responded to the shooting at 2632 Spirit Creek Road just before 11 p.m. and found where someone had shot at and hit the home with bullets at least 6 times. The home was occupied, but no one was injured. Police say they don't have a suspect or vehicle description at this time. The person inside was extremely happy they don't have any spare bullet holes. If you know who or where whoever shot up this house may be, please call the Richmond County Sheriff's Office, Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS, or email and text your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and unshot.
And now, this Crime Reports and Rewards special report.
Last week, the County Commission, after passing the largest tax increase in recent memory, graciously gave the Richmond County Fire Department a well-deserved cost of living raise. But as soon as the Commission passed the largest tax increase in recent memory, an environmental non-governmental organization began lobbying to get more of your tax dollars by trying to take cuts in front of the Richmond County Sheriff's Office that hasn't had a cost of living increase in years. This is the same non-governmental organization that won't return a building back to the marina operator that loaned them a key, and then they changed the locks and kept everybody's stuff. Then this non-governmental organization usurped the authority of the Corps of Engineers by telling the press and everybody else that they told her to lock the marina gate. The Corps of Engineers wants everybody to know this environmentalist did not have the Corps of Engineers' permission or direction to lock the marina gate, and the Corps has asked her to stop using their name. Then this environmental activist is suspected of making a false police report about 6 boats got loose, but later admitted in front of those who knew better that it was only 1 boat that was cut loose, if any. Now, this environmentalist who advocates breaking the law is trying to jump in front of our police for the tax money they need for their long-postponed cost of living raise. When we began sending recordings of the environmentalists saying the county commissioners didn't know what they were doing and their votes didn't count, the environmental activist screeched out a slanderous statement in a public meeting about a member of the press threatening her life. Then she posted another false statement on social media claiming other members of the press were also threatening her life too. We noticed none of these environmentalists are jumping in front of your police during shootouts. They do not pay for their buildings, buses, electricity, water, or almost anything else, but they want the Richmond County Sheriff's Office cost of living increase to go to them too. If you want your police to get the well-deserved cost of living increase they've worked so hard to get, please call your county commission and share this with them. Ask your county commissioners to get the non-governmental organizations that are using county property, employees, and other county assets to start paying their own rent and utilities. Ask them to look into the false statements made by the environmentalists to the press, police, and commissioners. Ask them to stop listening to those whose credibility is now being questioned by more and more in the press. And ask that our police be paid a living wage so we'll stop losing our best trained and most experienced police officers to other agencies that do pay a living wage. If you know of any other white-collar crime where non-governmental organizations are converting county assets and employees into private bank account deposits under false pretense that they have the authority to do so, please call the police. Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS or text and email your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and stop con artists from sticking their hands in your tax-paid cookie jar. This is an up to $10,000 cash reward for any information leading to the arrest and conviction of any non-governmental organization converting any tax-paid things into their own private profits.
And now, this Crime Reports and Rewards special report.
And now, a story about a brutal beating of a jogger. Dallas, Georgia. The Paulding County Sheriff's Office has set up a reward fund and helps to generate leads about who viciously attacked a jogger on the Silver Comet Trail. A 42-year-old woman was severely beaten and she was found by a passing bicyclist on July 29th. No arrests have been made yet. The Paulding County Sheriff's Captain Ashley Henson tells WSP Radio that authorities hope the reward will prompt a response from someone who knows something about the attack. Henson says the woman is still in a great deal of pain and hasn't been able to give detectives many clues about a suspect other than describing him as being a white male with dark hair. A reward fund has been established at the Bank of North Georgia in Hiram. If you think you know who or where this vicious attacker may be, please call your local police. Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS or text and email your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and unbeaten.
And now, this Crime Reports and Rewards special report.
Homeland Security raids home to seize Land Rover for violation of EPA standards, protecting America from the deadly threat posed by vehicles which flout emission standards.
Every car and truck has a VIN number like this, and the same number engraved in several places. They all have to match, otherwise something's amiss. Last week, Homeland Security agents came to Bill and Jennifer Brinkley's carport and said something was wrong with what they found here.
It was a 1985 Land Rover Defender.
The Defender is fairly rare in the U.S. because most don't comply with safety and emission standards and can't be imported unless older than 25 years. Then there's an exemption. When the Brinkleys bought it last year, they checked it out.
It looked great.
But this federal lawsuit claims there's a problem, that the VIN number may have been changed to make it seem old enough to be imported. When the feds came here to get it, they didn't give the Brinkleys a chance to debate the issue.
They knocked on my door
And took your car.
and took my car.
It's just unnerving the way they did it.
They've got 35 days to appeal, but the feds won't tell them where the car is. Now, if the VIN numbers do not match, well, the Brinkleys say they understand then what's happened, but what they don't understand is why 6 or 7 vehicles had to come onto their property and treat this almost like a raid to get the car. I called Homeland Security. No one called me back. The Brinkleys are trying to contact the person they bought the car from, but no luck. They've put $60,000 into the car. You'll be out the money.
And the vehicle.
Their advice, check all VIN numbers before buying a car, especially a Land Rover Defender. In Statesville, Steve Onesorge, WBTV, on your side.
Isolated incident? Don't count on it. See this article at www.truthaboutcars.com to read about how DHS was busy tracking down 40 Land Rovers this month as gangs, criminals, and terrorists entered through our southern border. And another example of how the Department of Homeland Security has expanded far outside the purview of its original function. 6 vehicles full of DHS agents were required to seize one Land Rover from a couple in Statesville, North Carolina, due to the fact the vehicle allegedly violates EPA emission standards. That's right, as America is invaded as part of its mission to protect the homeland, the DHS has been busy seizing imported vehicles that don't comply with safety and CO2 regulations. The Department of Homeland Security, created in the aftermath of 9/11, was tasked with the role of protecting America from terrorist, man-made accidents, and natural disasters. However, the DHS has been turned into a national police force with a remit that extends from seizing websites and copyright infringement to confiscating fake NFL merchandise. The menace of a national police force, also known as a standing army vested with so much power, cannot be overstated, nor can its danger be ignored, wrote Whitehead before listing numerous examples of how the DHS is instrumental in pushing America's decline into a militarized police state. One such example occurred earlier this month in Greenville, North Carolina, when teams of armed DHS agents showed up outside a courthouse. There was no threat to the building. The purpose of the agents' presence was to let people know they're in the area. In another incident, the DHS conducted a military-style invasion of a small town in Illinois, complete with armored vehicles, a Black Hawk helicopter, and a phalanx of heavy-duty equipment and weaponry.
A Black Hawk helicopter circles the skies over Livingston, Illinois. On the ground, an Arch helicopter, a unified command post from Homeland Security, and SWAT team vehicles from Madison County, all parked in the field of a Livingston, Illinois grade school.
At first, I thought it was really neat, and then whenever all the armored trucks started showing up and everything, it made me kind of nervous, and I thought, what's going on?
The peacefulness of the town of 850 was broken by all the excitement.
I think it was pretty cool, actually.
The law officers would not comment about their operation, even to the school superintendent, and they were using the school district land.
I did not get any information on that at all.
You wish they would have told you ahead of time?
Well, I understand their business in terms of what they're doing, so they can't always alert us, but yeah, it would have been nice if we would have at least received a phone call.
Our friend Joe went over there and they told him that they were waiting for something big to happen. They were on standby.
All that we received from them was that they were using this as a staging area.
The site became an instant attraction for citizens who say the officers were hospitable, inviting the kids to check out the choppers up close.
It was pretty cool inside, but we couldn't go inside because they said they had weapons in it.
It was later learned they apprehended one man for downloading indecent images on his computer. Given the history, the Brinkleys should probably count themselves lucky that they didn't have guns pointed at their hands during the seizure of the Land Rover, which the DHS apparently sees as a bigger threat to America than the nation's borders. And the fact that TSA is a subdivision of DHS that allows aliens to board planes without identification. Here's Leanne McAdoo.
Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. It is Friday, July 11th, 2014, and I'm Leanne McAdoo. Well, if you needed any more proof that the TSA is nothing more than contrived security theater, look no further than what's happening at the border. You know, if you want to fly into the USA, you've got to subject yourself to radiation and groping by the TSA. But if you're a terrorist and you don't mind walking, you can just walk right in through the border. And then when you get here, the TSA will allow you to fly, no identification necessary. And this is according to the National Border Patrol Council. They say the aliens who are getting released on their own recognizance are being allowed to board and travel commercial airliners by simply showing their notice to appear forms. Now, of course, this just adds insult to injury. Not only are we releasing unknown illegal aliens onto American streets, but we are allowing them to travel commercially using paperwork that could easily be reproduced or manipulated on any home computer that has no security features, no watermark, nothing. Now, the spokesman Garza highlights the significance of the security threats that this is posing to the American public, saying, "The threat this poses from terrorists upon the American people is absolutely unacceptable. Central Americans aren't the only people crossing our border and being released. Does anyone actually think that cartels and other criminal or possible terrorist organizations are not taking advantage of the fact that we are having to leave our borders wide open while reassigning the majority of our agents to process family units and minors?" So, of course, this situation is being exploited by such threats. And his ideas echo a report from the UN that was issued in 2012. It states that irregular migrants from the Horn of Africa, which includes Eritrea, Somalia, and Ethiopia, as well as Bangladesh, Nepal, India, China, and other African and Asian states, are being smuggled through Central America. So this is what we've been telling you. It's not just Central Americans. We really have no idea who's coming through. They're not having to show any identification. Here, city officials in Massachusetts are reporting that adult illegal immigrants posing as unaccompanied alien children appear to be attempting to enroll at public high schools. They say they have gray hairs, saying they're 17 and they have no documentation. Now, federal policy prohibits city officials from inquiring into any child's immigration or citizenship status and background. So clearly, this is an issue. Not only do you not know what kind of potential pedophiles are there in the classroom with your children, we're not allowed to ask them for citizenship status or identification, but there could also be gang recruiters in the classroom with your children. We've already reported how MS-13 gang members have been found to be at these border facilities. Of course, high school students and middle school students are very susceptible to being pulled into gangs by their peers. And there's also another group that recruits students on campus, La Raza.
Richmond County Sheriff's deputies report someone stole a City of Augusta Kawasaki Mule utility vehicle. Police say a Kawasaki Mule utility vehicle belonging to the City of Augusta was stolen downtown Saturday evening after being parked on 9th and Reynolds Street by a city employee. A Marriott parking attendant told police 3 young males were playing on the vehicle for about 15 minutes before he left the area. He didn't see anyone leave with the vehicle. This is what we were talking about when they say they want to spend money before stopping the crime. All it did was give crooks better stuff to steal. If you know who or where those who stole this may be, please call the police. Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS or email and text your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and keep your stuff.
And now, this Crime Reports and Rewards special report.
The Justice Department today announced a multinational effort to disrupt the Game Over Zeus botnet, a global network of infected victim computers used by cybercriminals to steal millions of dollars from business and consumers. In a separate action, U.S. and foreign law enforcement officials worked together to seize computer servers central to the malicious software or malware known as CryptoLocker, a form of ransomware that encrypts the files on a victim's computers until they pay a ransom. Victims of Game Over Zeus may use the following website created by DHS's Computer Emergency Readiness Team for assistance in removing the malware. That address is www.us-cert.gov/GameOverZeus. Game Over Zeus is the most effective botnet the FBI and our allies have ever attempted to disrupt, said FBI Executive Assistant Director Anderson. The efforts announced today are a direct result of the effective relationships we have with our partners in the private sector, international law enforcement, and within the U.S. government. The borderless, insidious nature of computer hacking and cyber theft requires us to be bold and imaginative, said U.S. Attorney Hickton. We take this action on behalf of hundreds of thousands of computer users who were unwittingly infected and victimized. An investigation identified the Game Over Zeus network as a common distribution mechanism for CryptoLocker. Unsolicited emails containing an infected file purported to be a voicemail or shipping confirmation are also widely used to distribute CryptoLocker. When opened, those attachments infect victims' computers. You may have received emails asking you to open a .zip file. If you have opened a .zip file, your computer may already be infected and your files could be locked or your bank accounts emptied at any moment. Game Over Zeus, also known as peer-to-peer Zeus, is an extremely sophisticated type of malware designed to steal banking and other credentials from the computers it infects. Unknown to their rightful owners, the infected computers are also secretly becoming part of a global network of compromised computers known as a botnet, a powerful online tool that cyber criminals can use for numerous criminal enterprises, besides stealing confidential information from the infected machines themselves. Game Over Zeus, which first emerged around September 2011, is the latest version of Zeus malware that it began appearing as early as 2007. Game Over Zeus decentralized peer-to-peer structure differentiates it from the earlier Zeus variants. Security researchers estimate that between 500,000 and 1 million computers worldwide are infected with Game Over Zeus, and that approximately 25% of the infected computers are located in the United States. The principal purpose of the botnet is to capture banking credentials from infected computers. Those credentials are then used to initiate or redirect wire transfers to accounts overseas that are controlled by cyber criminals. The FBI estimates that Game Over Zeus is responsible for more than $100 million in losses. The Game Over Zeus botnet operates silently on victims' computers by directing those computers to reach out to receive commands from other computers in the botnet and to funnel stolen banking credentials back to the criminals who control the botnet. In addition to the disruption operation against Game Over Zeus, the Justice Department led a separate multinational action to disrupt the malware known as CryptoLocker, which began appearing about September 2013 and is also a highly sophisticated malware that uses cryptographic key pairs to encrypt the computer files of its victims. Victims are forced to pay hundreds of dollars and often as much as $700 each or more to receive the key necessary to unlock their own files. If the victim does not pay the ransom, it is impossible to recover their files. Security researchers estimate that as of April 2014, CryptoLocker had infected more than 234,000 computers, with approximately half of those in the U.S. One estimate indicates that more than $27 million in ransom payments were made in just the first 2 months since CryptoLocker emerged. If your computer has been infected by this malware, please call Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS or email or text your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and keep hackers out of your computer. The Richmond County Sheriff's Office is asking for your help finding the unknown black female and unknown black male you see on your screen. If you know how to contact them, they're wanted for questioning in connection with the theft of copper wire on a wooden spool taken from 2525 Washington Road, property belonging to the Augusta National adjacent to the course. Every time you have to lock or unlock your home, business, car, and do all the other things thieves keep us busy with trying to keep them out of our stuff, thieves steal your time and resources. Don't let thieves steal your life, too. Let's get these thieves off the street before they steal your stuff also. This investigation is ongoing. However, if any information is collected as to the identification of the suspects or location of the stolen material, please notify Investigator Kendall Brown at 706-821-1440. Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS, or text and email your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and keep your stuff. Please refer to case number 14-176882 when placing your tip.
You've been watching Crime Reports and Rewards with Griff Griffin and Dave Michaels, where you stay anonymous. The criminals don't. If you have any information on these or any other crimes, call our national tip line at 1-800-222-TIPS. Well, you'll stay anonymous and could get a cash reward. You can see this or any other episode of Crime Reports and Rewards on the web anytime at crimereportsandrewards.com. Crime Reports and Rewards is a production of Michaels Media.